The question is whether we're going to go forward to tomorrow or we're going to go past the back. What we've got here is failure to communicate. What is the most inspiring thing I've ever seen? Don't be an idiot. You hit reply all. I hate to do this, but we have to eliminate some positions, and yours is one of them. It's hard for me to explain why that was the case. Just take my word for it. Our profits are the highest they have been in the history of our country. But maybe I need to be even approachable. All we need now is to get the stuff translated into every language. This is the German Coast Guard. We're thinking. What are you thinking about? That was bad. Decision has been reached, and it is Tom Henderson. No way. So you're highly motivated and energetic. In conclusion, I just
So as you can see, communication, if you can't communicate effectively, it can ruin relationships, life, work. When I first got married, people told me that communication is pretty important. It's key. They said communication is key to an effective marriage, and I've learned that communication is key in everything. So, and pretty much everything you do. So I like a couple of these quotes. Can you read this okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Communication to a relationship is like oxygen to life. Without it, it dies. This is more for the women. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. You talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. This is one that I deal with my wife on a daily basis. I talk to her, she talks to me through Facebook. I don't understand it.
Oh.
I have to profess my love on Facebook.
Oh.
So for this one, I could say, hey, those are really nice shoes. Or, really nice shoes. Of course, everyone heard, it's not what you say, but how you say it. And to piggyback on that, you may see a lot of movies that they try to portray a certain emotion. So they may read a line like this: to effectively communicate, we must realize that we all are different in the way we perceive the world and use this to understanding as a guy, blah, 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 blah. Or you may hear them talk like, to effectively communicate. It's basically what I'm getting at is perception on how you communicate. And we're going to talk about, or I'm going to talk about, some of the 7 deadly sins that I've got from online. Basically, what I think that we should stay away from, and some cornerstones to be a more effective communicator. And I'm guilty of this. And just a couple more. So listening is just as important as sending a message. We got some basic communication, basic elements. We got the source, the symbol, and receiver. From a lot of research, it's been told or it's been said that 10% of communication is used by words, 20% is used by tone, and 70% by body language. Energy and motion basically is what emotion is. So that's what body language is. So depending on how you like that shoe example, how I'm coming about and how I'm saying or trying to come across, just letting you know how nice your shoes are. Let's go through this real quick. Source, sender. The source is the sender. We got the symbol and the receiver. So basically these two, the person who's relaying the message and receiving the message, it takes certain skills to be able to listen and hear a message out. Now I have some slides on here. It's really not, this one doesn't really apply. Here we talk about lack of a common experience. If I'm talking about a certain aircraft, and I'm using aircraft for obvious reasons, you may know an aircraft to be an airplane or a 737, and I'm talking about a specific aircraft. So just being specific, just being very specific to what you're saying. Don't use abstractions. So right now I'm going to talk about the 7 sins of speaking. Number 1, gossip. I think everybody can be a little guilty of this. Judging. Number 3, negativity. When you're around a negative person for a while, that energy tends to kind of rub off on you. Number 4, complaining, misery. Number 5, excuses. Number 6, lying. And 7, confusion of facts and opinions. So the 4 cornerstones that I was talking about earlier would be honesty, just to be clear and straightforward, to be authentic, just to be yourself, integrity, be about your word, and wish people well. There's actually 4 more that I think that are pretty good to use when communicating. Receive, pay attention, appropriate. So if I'm telling you something, you're kind of nodding your head and you're saying, yeah, okay, and then summarize, so the listener also knows what you're talking about, so you're saying, and then ask. So receive, appreciate, summarize, and ask.
Ew.
Back to abstractions. If you're talking about an aircraft, like I was saying, this guy may be thinking of helicopter or airplane or airship. We also have barriers to effective communication. Physiological, environmental, psychological. We're all just like right now. We have some environmental interference by him in the back. Go ahead and wrap this up. Okay, so listening. I want to go through this real quick. Listening, it's been, I guess, through studies. Listening, we listen to about 60% of what people say, and then we only retain about 25%. I think through just social media and just how the world is going, we're losing listening. So we just need to create conscious listening. Like I said, it's a skill set, just paying attention. So if I were to go up to you, come here, Come here. And I need you to tell me this. Come here. Okay, and now I'm sitting here on the computer, and I need you to come here and tell me.
Dad, I need your help, okay?
What? What is it?
I need your help, okay?
What do you want?
I need your help, okay?
Okay, so if I were to do that, or walk back over here, let's try it again.
Dad, I need your help, okay?
What do you need? It's basically just, I think a lot of people, I'm guilty of it. My wife would do it. She'll come up to me and ask something, or she'll be telling me something. If I'm not giving her full attention, it doesn't really stick, especially if I forget something, or she tells me something and I was like, well, you didn't tell me this. What I'm getting at is listening is a skill. I'm not really going too deep into any of this. I just think effective communication, just using a couple of these, like I was saying, receive, appreciate, summarize, and ask, using honest, or being honest, and authentic integrity and love to wish people well, not loving on people, but just to wish people well, could be a starting step forward to effective communication. So hopefully you receive something to help if you're having communication issues like me. Hope you receive something for your future endeavors with communication. Thank you.